got this exciting subscription box and you just got the first one, you got our premier box. Look at this. This is what you've got in our first subscription box. This day you've got a duo penguin canvas that you and a best friend can work on. It's gonna look just like this guy here. You just got a mini version, but it's really cool. It's got all the supplies you need. Your subscription box also has this cool mirror, ceramic mirror, which we're gonna do this cool mosaic technique on. All right, and you're gonna have all the supplies for that. And then we've also got this dragon tile right here, which we're gonna do a really awesome alcohol ink and resin technique on. And you check it out right over here is the way it's gonna look. That's what we're making today. As you can see, your subscription box has everything you need in it. The Bella box has everything for you, all right here in a nice, neat little compartment. So we're gonna go through the steps on how to make all of these projects today, and we're gonna have a lot of fun, so stay tuned. All right, but before we do anything, guys, the most important thing is that we protect your surface. So wherever you're working, you want to make sure that you lay down that nice plastic tablecloth that we're including in your box to protect the table. Wherever you're working at home, we don't want to make a mess. We want to also make sure that we put on our artist clothes, and those are clothes that we don't mind if they get dirty or ruined or paint on, because a lot of this stuff is messy and it's not going to come out. Okay, guys, we don't want to make mom and dad mad. All right, we want to keep things clean, keep ourselves clean, keep the surface clean, and keep our mess contained. All right, let's get going. So this first project that we're going to work on is the mosaic mirror. This is a Love Yourself mirror mosaic. I've already started, as you can see. Your kit's going to come with this ceramic mirror, and in the middle is the mirror itself. We're going to already have that in there for you, and it's going to be taped off, and that's going to protect it from any glue, and then later when we do the grout, it's going to protect it from that, and we'll talk about all that when the time comes. Right now, we're just going to talk about how you're going to plan out where to put your pieces. So as you can see, I've got mine in a little bit of a triangle shape. My plan is I'm going to do a triangle of red, and then I will mirror the same thing down here. You don't have to do that. So the materials we're going to use for this part of the project are our mirror base, this nice container of red and clear jewels. You'll notice that some of your jewels are nice and round, like these two here. But then you also have some of these little squiggly ones just for you to do what you want, because you're going to plan out your own design. You also have some special glue for this, and then a paintbrush. So it's pretty simple. One of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to plan out your design. I've got my triangle shape, and the way you want to plan out that design is you want to get yourself a pencil and just lightly draw out on your mirror base what you want, where you want your colors. So for me, like, I went like this, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go inwards like this, like that. Is that right? No, that's not right. It's hard to do it upside down, guys. It's a little hard to do it upside down. So let's...
The one side was right.
Yes, it's just a lot harder to do it upside down. So we're gonna go to a point and go to a point, and I just kind of sketched out. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? I can kind of go, and then once I've got it sketched out the way I want it, then I can start adhering, gluing on my jewels. And the way you glue on your jewels are, you just use this special tile glue that we have here, and you take your little paintbrush and get it all ready to go. And we're going to add a little bit of glue there, and then we're going to add a little bit of glue where you're going to put it. Now, you don't want your jewels right next to each other, all right? You don't want them touching necessarily. You want a little space in between them. See how I laid that there? And then I give it a little push. You want a little space in between them, because the next thing we're going to do after these are dry, we're going to put grout in there. Okay, it's a little sandy stuff. It goes between your tiles in your kitchen and your bathroom. You might see your tiles butted up together and it's got some stuff in the middle. That's grout. So we're going to use some grout. So we want some space in the middle because we want that grout to show as well. All right, so you just lay those down like that, and then you go on to your next one, leaving a little bit of space. Now, one of the things you want to be mindful of with this glue is when you're not working on a flat surface, and your glue is liquid, so it's going to want to move. So you want to kind of hold it for a little bit and give it some time to really stick and dry. All right, and then you can move on to the next one. So now that we have all the red pieces, you see I've got this side and I mimicked it over here on this side. Then I'm gonna go ahead and lay our clear pieces. And you may not be doing all your reds and all your clears. You might wanna do red, clear, red, clear, red, clear. This is just my design and how I chose to do it. So I've got my red here, I've got my red here, I laid in some clear, and then I'm gonna finish them up here. And then once those are all done, then I'll go through and fill in the other areas. So you're just gonna lay all your pieces down however you decide to design yours. Get those glued down, and then you'll wait the 24 hours so that it can be nice and dry before you put your grout on. And then we're gonna be doing grout next, and we'll talk about the supplies you have for grout. All right, so all my jewels are glued on nice and secure. It's been 24 hours, so they're not going anywhere. I did a nice little pattern repeating on both sides, and now we're going to go ahead and grout it. So in your kit, what you have is you have a dish to mix. You also have a container, I've already taken the lid off of mine, of grout. All right, this is kind of like a sandy mixture. We want to gently pour it into our cup. And you can start with about half of it. We can always add more if we need it. And then you're gonna put a little bit of water in it. And we're gonna make this, guys, we're gonna mix it up just like we're making a cake. But we're gonna mix it, and we want it to be the consistency of like peanut butter, all right? So that's why we don't wanna pour all of that powder in at once, because we wanna be able to add more if we need it, in case we accidentally add too much liquid. All right, now that your grout's all mixed up like peanut butter, we are going to, just like we would frost a cake, we are gonna take some of it and we are gonna smush it in there, and we wanna get it right in there inside. You also have some gloves in your kit, and you're gonna wanna get those out too. So you're gonna smush it in just like this. Push it down, you wanna get it pushed down in between all those jewels. So you can use that popsicle stick, or you can use your fingers to really push it in there. So we're gonna work it and get all those little crevices in between those jewels full of that grout. All right, so I've got 3 of my sides done. I did have to go ahead and mix up some more grout, and that's why you want to just do part of your grout at a time, because this will get really hard really fast, and we want to make sure that we have enough to cover our whole surface. So I just want to do this last section and just remind you that when you're putting your grout in, make sure you get all the way down here at the bottom. You don't want any of that white to be seen. All right, same thing here at the top. Go ahead and scrape your popsicle stick like this, so that you get it all the way on that edge, all right? So you wanna make sure that all of that is covered. Now, as I said, this grout's gonna get dry really fast and get hard, so if for some reason you accidentally add too much water to your mix, you can always just let it sit for a little while and firm up, all right? And see how I've got it all the way to the edge? Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and rub my fingers in and make sure it's pushed in there really good. All right, all our sides are grouted, and we're gonna make sure that we get nice and tight up here on these corners. You can use your popsicle stick to kind of push in there as well. Just wanna smooth it out. And then you can take your hand and you can kind of just rub across. Remember, we've got something nice down to catch all of this mess so it's not all over mom or dad or whoever's grandma's table. But you can see how it's starting to clean up those gems. You can start seeing them come through. We're gonna rub, 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 and then we're also going to take a handy dandy little sponge and just in some water, we're gonna dip it and we're gonna squeeze it so it's not dripping. We're gonna squeeze it. You wanna squeeze it out like that. So it's just barely, barely damp, and then you're gonna lightly go across it like this. That's gonna clean up a lot of those jewels for you. Rinse it again, squeeze it. Cleaning up all those areas, getting those jewels nice and bright. Right here, we see we can't see our jewels, so we wanna really clean that up area really good. So I'm gonna just really clean, clean, clean. And you'll see you're just gonna keep rinsing and wiping. Maybe clean out, you go dump your water, get some fresh water. It would be a good idea with this water when you dump it, to not dump it in your sink. If you have a front yard or a backyard, just dump it in the grass or in the bushes, just so that, because this is all just minerals and dirt too. But we don't want this all going down mom or dad's drain. All right, guys, here we are 24 hours later, and our mosaic is nice and hard. So what we're gonna do is we are going to paint the back, and ta-da, it's already done. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna use that black paint and that paintbrush that I provided for you in your box, and you're just gonna paint the back. Feel free to go crazy if you wanna use some other colors back there, you're more than welcome to. Just be aware that the darker colors are gonna work better because of that grout that we use, because it's black. Sometimes we get a little bit on the back side, so it might be a little bit harder to cover. So a darker color on the back is the way to go. But we're just gonna paint that back black, and then your parents can help you hang it up, all right? Or just set it in your room, or leave it on your table as something to hold your little, your trinkets and things like that, whatever you like. That's all there is to make your own love yourself mirror, so you can look at yourself and take selfies and make funny faces and just have a good time, or just have it hanging out in your room and just admire this beautiful little mirror that you made. All right, so there you go. All right, so the next project we're going to work on is that Best Friends canvas. Your kit comes with 2 canvases pre-drawn with a penguin. We're just going to go over right now how to achieve that background that you saw in the sample at the beginning of the video. So we're going to go through that. You'll see that your canvas is already pre-drawn in black, and the reason we've got that pre-drawn in black for you is because it allows you to go ahead and paint right over the top of it as you do your background, and then you're still able to paint your penguin afterwards and it won't affect anything. All right, so we're going to do this background, and in your kit you're going to have a little paper plate. All right, for mixing, you're gonna have a strip of colors, paintbrushes, sponge. Sponge is really important, that's what we're gonna use. You're also gonna have some black paint and some white paint, some sparkly glitter, and then you'll have 2 of these sticker sheets, and I'm gonna show you how to use those. This is really what we're here for, is to show you how to use these sticker sheets, and then also how to sponge the background on. We are going to start with a little bit of our white paint, and we are going to just dab our sponge over here on the side. So we've got some there. Got your paints, and then we're going to go ahead and grab us a little bit of blue and add that in there like that, and see how it mixes the colors. We don't want them all mixed up. We want our sponge to have some blue, have some white. Now right here in the middle part, just right around the outside, we're going to create that little glow. So I'm going to do more of that light. As long as you don't put your paint too heavy on there, you're still going to be able to see those lines, and that way when you paint you can just color those in. And then I'm going to add a little bit more blue, and as I work my way out I'm going to add more blue. So now I'm going to add some more of this light blue. I'm actually not even going to add any white at this point. I'm just going to dab it off so that I'm getting darker and darker as I work my way out. Pick up some of this dark blue, add that into the mix, and we're going to work our way out. And that's going to give us that nice kind of glow coming off of our penguin. Right? And we're going to do the same thing around here. We're going to carry it around. I'm going to grab up some white. And you just keep blending. You don't have to do yours this way. This is just the way I did mine, and I'm just giving you the directions on how to do it like the sample, because it wouldn't be very nice for me to send you off with a box to make something and not show you how I did it in case you do want to make it just like mine. Alright. You can always go back in and say, oh, I need a little bit more blue in there. You can always use the dry side of your sponge to kind of blend as well. Alright. So once that's done, then you can go ahead and you can paint your penguin with your brush and the other colors. Painting a sweater, scarf, whatever you want to do. Paint your penguin however you like. Alright. If you've got any color that accidentally got in the white part of your penguin, you can go ahead and use that white paint and paint right over the top of it. You just want to make sure that that other color that you accidentally got on there is dry. Otherwise it's just going to all blend in. Alright, so we're going to just let this dry. A good way to let it dry is you can always go like this, swing it around. That dries it really good. Or if you're in a hurry, you can get a hair dryer. Ask mom or daddy to the hair dryer, and you can dry it as well. Alright, so we've got our background done. It's nice and dry. I went ahead and I painted in my penguin's earmuffs because I just wanted to show you guys what happens. What you'll see is your background color went over the top of your black, and maybe you want it to really stand out. So you're going to have a little tiny brush and you've got some black paint. Now, in order to get a nice thin line, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you add some water to your paint. So I've got some water on my brush, all right, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this paint and I'm going to add it here to my palette. That's what we call the little thing we put our paint on. So I'm going to add it here, and this paint now is not quite as thick because it has that water in there with it, okay? It's kind of more like ink, right, which is what we're going for. And so after you get your penguin all painted, all the colors in there, if you want to go back over those dark lines, you can. You can take that really thin brush. Those little thin brushes, if we want them to stay nice and pointy, what you want to do, watch right here. When we work our brush in the paint, we never go like this. We always lay it flat on its side and pull out, okay? And then turn it. That's going to keep your point nice and sharp, and that's what you want, okay? And then you can take your brush and you can just gently, those lines that we pre-drew for you, you can go over the top of them. Make them stand out again. All right, so I just wanted to take a minute to show you that before we moved on to our stickers and how we get those hearts and snowflakes in there. So in the sample, you saw that there was some hearts that were really cute. There was also snowflake. Now that's where this guy, whoops, this guy comes in that you have. These are stickers, all right? And you're gonna have 2 sheets of these, one for each of your canvases, but each sheet actually is gonna give you 2 snowflakes and 2 rows of stars, all right? So what we're gonna do is we are going to pull this top one off like this. See how that gridded one comes off, and we're gonna hold the other one down at the bottom. And as we pull, see how that sticker's coming off? That's what we want. Now see, we got one there that's not. That's okay, there it goes. So you wanna go nice and slow. Sometimes what you can do is you can lay it back down and you can scrape it really hard. You might wanna ask mom and dad to borrow a credit card, and you go like this, because you really want that sticker to stay on there, all right? So we're gonna keep our blue one back, and then we're gonna pull those other ones up, and there they come. See them all coming out? Now that's what we like to see. Nice, nice, nice. And there's a snowflake down there, and we're gonna try to get that to come up with us too. There it goes. There's our snowflake, see that? If we do it nice and slow, what we're left with is we're left with stickers on this side and stickers on this side. All right? So you got a positive and a negative. All right? I'll show you how to use them. So these ones are here on this side. We've got our hearts. So when we lay these down, that sticker, and again, borrow mom's credit card, dad's credit card, grandma's credit card, whoever. We're gonna rub, 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 rub. And then we are going to pull them off. Now as we pull that off, it's gonna leave those little stickers behind. And I think I'm gonna put a little snowflake right over here. All right, so now we've got that snowflake there. Okay, so at that point, this little snowflake, if you look really close, it has these little tiny triangles in there. If you want, you can take a little pencil or you can take a little pen and you can just pop those out to help your stencil. Those stickers down, and I got the little triangles out of my snowflake there. You can, like I said, you can use a pencil. If you want something sharp, pointy, to help you with that, if you've got a little pin that you can find, that works out really well too. But just you just want to pick those out, all right? And don't worry if your pencil mark gets in there because we're going to paint over it anyway. So at this point, I can paint over the top of these, and I'm going to get us another sponge, and you're going to have another one in your bag as well. And we're just gonna, now when you're working with sponges and stencils, pro tip here, all right? You put your paint on your sponge and you wanna dab it off because you don't want a lot of paint. You just want a little bit of paint, all right? You want it to be kind of dry on there, all right? Because you can always put more on, you can't take it off. So we take that sponge that just has a little bit of paint, and then we're just gonna tap over the top of it, just like this. Same thing over here with my hearts. I can go over them like this. And what it's going to do is it's going to create almost like a shadow of that design. All right, so you get your little pin or whatever underneath there and you pull up those stickers, and it's just gonna leave a little shadow of what you left behind, of those hearts. And if you do a darker color on top, like I will do a darker blue just to show you. There we go. And we pull those little guys up, and then it's going to do the same thing. And same thing with our snowflake here. I'm going to pull that guy up. Look at that. Right? So that's how you use those ones. But now we're left with this side of the sticker, right? The negative space. All right? So remember that little clear piece with the red checks that we peeled off? We're going to use that to transfer these on here. So what you're going to do is you are going to, oops, lay your little transfer piece on top. And again, take mom or dad's little card and rub, 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 rub. It's going to stick to my tablecloth. And then we're going to pull it up. And that little white back, we are going to pull off so that the blue comes with us. Again, we're going to lay it right on top, like this. We are going to rub, 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 rub. We are going to pull, and remember, that little blue now wants to come up. See it trying to come up? We're going to hold it down. And we're going to gently pull it, gently pull it. Just like that. All right. And we're going to do the exact same thing with our snowflake. We're going to rub, 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 rub. All right, and I'm going to put the snowflake, where should I put it? Should I put it down here? Down here, all right. What's fun to do with these two is instead of having the whole piece on there, hang it off to the side like this. You don't have to. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Give it some personality. I'm gonna pull that off. Now see how that little piece came up? That's okay, because we can take that little cardigan and we can gently, 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 or even with your finger, just kind of push. Push, push, push. You want to make sure it's stuck down really good. Sometimes it helps to push in the back too and like sandwich it. I want it down nice and hard. And then we're going to decide what color we want to make those hearts, and I think I want to make those hearts pink. So we're going to take some of our pink, and I want them to be this nice bright, I think. And then you go right over the top. And just gentle, just really gentle. We don't want to squish a bunch of paint in there because we don't want it to squeeze up underneath that blue stencil. We just want a nice, and sometimes you can dab some on your sponge and dab it off to the side to take some off. All right, then I'm gonna do this snowflake down here, and since this one over here is kind of blue, I think I'm gonna make this guy white. So I'm gonna get some white paint. Again, I'm gonna dab some off. You can use the side as my dabber too. Take some off, and then gently, 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 dab, 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 dab. And then you can just pull it off, just like that. Just like that. All right, and my heart's got a little smudgy. I got a little too crazy with the paint, but that's okay. That's what that little tiny brush is for. Remember, you can always go back in and just kind of clean them up if you need to. So one of the things I wanted to mention about these guys, the ones that were the stickers and not that negative that we were talking about, these guys you can actually put down. So the ones that act like little stickers, you could actually put those down before you even painted your background, and then when you pull them off, it would just be white. That'd be a good way to use those too, right? So once you have all those down and you are left with just finishing up your painting, or maybe you want to add some of these nice sparkles. With the sparkles, you can just take your white paint or add some blue to it, and you can make it wet and stick some on. Push it with your finger, and then you can add those sparkles. Whenever your paint is wet, you can add some sparkles. And it just gives a little, if you notice those sparkles, give you a nice snowy look, but it also picks up the pink if you use pink, or blue if you have blue in there too. So, around this guy, do some sparkles. Tap, 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 tap. All right, so let's talk about our alcohol ink resin dragon. All right, so in your kit, you have a tile that has a dragon embossed in it. You gotta look really closely to see all the little lines. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna drip colors into those little areas and let them pool in there. And you've got some little pipettes, and these are filled with different colors. All right, these are alcohol inks, they dry super fast. All right, so you're gonna snip off the end, and we're not even gonna squeeze it, but we are just going to gently drop it in there. Give it just a gentle, gentle squeeze till it comes out, and just let it push it around. And you don't want to squeeze too hard because you want to just gently fill in all of those areas. All right, you want to look at it and figure out which areas you want green, which areas you want red. You can blend your colors, but the goal here is you want to make the individual little sections different colors so that that picture will really stand out. All right, so you're just going to fill it in with all the different colors. So I got that one in there, so I got that one green, and I think I'm gonna get there is a red that we are gonna, got some flames coming out of his mouth here, so I'm gonna go right here and put some red as a very gentle squeeze, and we're just gonna gently push around that color. We're not squeezing too hard because we don't want it to pull over to the other areas. We just want to stay in the section that we're in. All right, so as we fill in those spaces, if I make a mistake, like something like that I don't like, you've got one little pipette that just has clear in it. You can just go ahead and squeeze some of that into a little dish like that. You can use a little Q-tip, and you can use that as an eraser, and you can erase anything you don't like. All right, so as we said, you can squeeze those colors in there, or if you want, you can just pour some in a little dish, and you'll have several of these little dishes in your kit, and you can use just a little paintbrush, and you can do the same thing, and you can color it in. All right, so you can pull it by squeezing gently, or you can use a little paintbrush and color in all those sections. All right, so as you see, I had a little help from a friend to help finish this up. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little Q-tip and that just plain alcohol, that clear liquid that you have, and I'm just gonna kind of go through and bring out those white lines just to make them pop a little bit. All these and clean all that up. The other thing you can do is you can take a permanent marker, and you could do this as well if you wanted to. You could do the whole thing in permanent marker, really, if you wanted to. If you wanted to just not even do the alcohol drips. But you can take a permanent marker, and like I can go in here and I can color in his little teeth if I wanted to, because those spots are really too small to really concentrate in. So I can go in there and fill in his little teeth. Like I said, you could get any permanent markers that you have at home, and you can color the whole thing that way if you want. We're gonna set it aside and let it dry for just a little bit, but you can see it's pretty dry already. But we want to dry a little bit longer. This project can be done within, once you've got your alcohol colors in there, you can go to the next step within the next hour. All right, guys, so let's set this aside for an hour and let it dry, and then we're gonna come back to it and put our resin on. So we've had our alcohol ink dragon drying for about an hour, so it's nice and dry. And in your kit, you also have a little board that a lot of your supplies will be on top of. You can go ahead and use that board to protect your surface when you pour your resin. All right, the resin is these little dishes labeled A and B, all right? And what resin does is one part is the hardener, and you mix it with the other portion, and once it's all mixed together, it gets nice and hard over 24 hours. But the most important thing with your resin is that you mix it well, all right? That is the most important thing. So we're gonna take part A, guys, and we are going to scrape every little bit out of there. Now I have measured this out for you, so you have just as much A as you have B, all right? And it's really important because I did make sure you have the same amount. It's really important that you get all of it out of there, okay? So you're gonna use that pointy popsicle stick in there to really get into all those edges, All right, really scrape it all out. All right, once you get all of it you can possibly get out, you're gonna go ahead and then you're gonna get your bee, okay? And then you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna scrape everything out of your bee. When the A and B come together, over about 30 minutes, they'll start to firm up. At this point, our lovely assistant is gonna set a timer for 3 minutes, all right? And we are going to stir, all right? We're not gonna stir crazy, guys. We're not gonna get it all over. All right, but we're stirring. We're stirring. You can kind of see it getting a milky color. That's what we want, all right? And we're gonna use that cut popsicle stick to scrape the sides. When you stir, you scrape the sides. You go across the bottom. You scrape the sides. You go across the bottom. You don't want to just go in a circle like this. That's not gonna mix it. All right, guys, we wanna really get it all incorporated. And it's gonna get that milky color, right? And we're gonna keep going. The most important thing is that you mix this for a full 3 minutes. All right, we're mixing for 3 minutes. All right, guys, so our resin is all mixed up. You see how it's really cloudy and milky. That's what you want it to look like. Once that's done, you can kind of set it down. You've got about 30 minutes to work with it before it starts to get too hard. Now, I've got my gloves on. It's really important that you wear those gloves that are in your kit when you do this, okay? So we've got that board set down that we talked about, and we're gonna have our A cup upside down, our B cup upside down, and we are gonna balance our tile right on top of it. All right, we can kind of do it at a kitty corner angle too, corner to corner to make it a little stabler. All right, that's what we want. We want it centered over this board because we are going to pour this resin over the top, all right? And you're gonna very gently, you're gonna drizzle your resin like this across your dragon. All right, the goal here is to get as much of it on your dragon and have hardly any dripping off. All right, I got it in the middle here. At that point, I can, just like a cake, I can kind of frost it. Not pushing really hard because you don't want to tip it over. Just gently going to the edges, okay? Once you get all the way to the edges, and you look at it from the side, you can kind of see any spots that you might be missing, and you can kind of push your resin over there. All right, if you need to, so you can stop and kind of look to the sides and see if anything is askew. Ooh, pushed a little too hard there. Looks like I need a little bit more over on this edge. Okay, now looks like we're looking good. What you can do is you can scrape off your popsicle stick as it dries, and you can scrape the bottom here. You don't want things hanging off, because if things are hanging off when it dries, it's going to be hard. So your tile's not going to lay flat. It's going to have those little, what are they called? Stalactites, basically. I always remember it's stalactite and not stalagmite, because stalactites have a C in it. They come from the ceiling, and stalagmites come from the ground, so they come up. So the points hanging down are going to be what we want to make sure we take off. So you can just go through and scrape as it's drying anything that might be hanging off the edges. All right, the other thing you want to do is, if you look closely, you can see some little pinpricks in there. Now in your kit you have a little straw. This works really good. I'm going to blow gently. If you get a close-up of that, you can see these little bubbles popping like carbonation. I'm just very gently. And those little bubbles, as we blow that pop, it makes it clear, so it's less foggy. So you might not be able to see the bubbles in the video, but they look like little carbonation bubbles, and you'll be able to see them. Now, if I blow really hard, watch really closely right here, you can see that, right? We don't want that to happen, all right? You're not blowing that hard. And And once you blow and you don't see any more of those little carbonation bubbles anymore, and we're going across the whole thing, then you know it's nice and clear. At that point, again, check your edges. We don't want anything hanging off. Now, at this point, you're gonna let it set. Try to keep it in a place that there's no air blowing on it. Hopefully there's no dog hairs, cat's hairs, all our pets' hairs. We wanna try to keep the surface clean. We don't want anything dropping in there, because if anything drops in there, it's gonna stay in there for good. So if you have a shoebox that you can put over the top, that would be great. You don't want to move this. When you are ready to pour that resin, you want to be exactly in the place that it can stay for at least 24 hours, for at least one full day, guys. All right. You can come back within the next, say, 30 minutes and check your edges. If there's anything hanging off, again, you can gently just kind of scrape it off. All right. And that is your resin alcohol ink dragon. Here we are 24 hours later, and our resin is nice and dry. Remember, you want it 24 hours to sit so it's dry to the touch. It will be completely hardened in 72 hours, but 24 hours, good enough to touch. Remember, we kept it covered up while it dried so that we didn't get any of our pet hair or anything like that flying in it. But once it's hard like that to the touch, we're just gonna paint the edges. I've got my sample here that I already painted. We're just gonna use that same black paint that we used on the back of our mirror, and we're just gonna run the brush along the edge and paint it however you like. All right, and there you go. That is our dragon tile.